Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet. I'm Kathryn.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're heading back to Canada, to a city that I visited that's in Vancouver Island. And it's just full of British charm. Kind of reminded me of a mini England.
We're talking about Victoria, British Columbia. It's the capital and the oldest city in British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
It actually just celebrated its 150th anniversary in August of this year, 2012. So big shout out, happy birthday to Victoria.
And Victoria is a popular day trip from Seattle. We, in fact, took this ferry over. And the first thing that you notice is it has this very mild climate. It's got these nice cool breezes coming from the water. And the second thing that you notice is how they've played up the British aspect of their heritage. So you're going to see red phone booths and lots of tea shops and double-decker buses for sightseeing.
Yeah, I gotta love those British double-decker buses.
Yeah, they're the best.
One of the things that people really love to do is walk around the area called the Inner Harbor.
Uh-huh.
This is where you see a lot of the boats, the waterfront homes, and the Parliament buildings like you see over in England.
Yeah.
And these Parliament buildings are lit up at night. They're, like you said, I think
they're kind of outlined.
They're
in
outlined
lights.
in light, so they look especially nice at night.
Very spectacular.
And this is also where the Fairmont Empress Hotel is located. And this is very famous for its afternoon tea.
Yum.
And on the menu, of course, is typical afternoon tea. Scones, pastries, all types of yummy sweets, and there's even a tea specifically blended for the hotel. So if you're a big fan of afternoon tea, you definitely want to check it out.
Oh yeah, they have several sittings a day because it's so popular.
Yeah.
Now, before you stuff yourself, you might want to do some whale watching. Vancouver is one of the best places in North America to do this. And the way it works is you'll catch a boat from the Inner Harbor. They take you out a few miles at sea. And if you're lucky, you might see a pod of killer whales or sea lions, dolphins doing their thing. So it's really nice.
Yeah, whale watching is so fun.
It's lots of fun.
But if you're more into biking, Victoria calls itself the cycling capital of Canada. So there's lots of biking opportunities here, both urban and mountain biking.
Mm-hmm.
The Galloping Goose Trail and the Seaside Touring Route are two popular areas for casual cyclists, or if you want to go biking with the family. If you want to do more mountain biking, head just outside of Victoria to Mount Work. And this is where you can find tons of single track trails and more advanced areas for mountain bikers.
So if you want to work, you go to Mount Work.
That's right.
Another popular spot is the Butchart Gardens, which belonged to the private home of a wealthy cement manufacturer whose name was Robert P.M. Butchart. And his wife Jenny transformed the abandoned quarry near their home into some very beautiful gardens. They became so well known that people came from miles around to see them.
The gardens are still owned by the family, and about 1 million visitors come every year still.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and there's an Italian garden, a Japanese-style garden, a beautiful, intricate rose garden. And they plant about 1 million different plants and 700 different varieties every year. So the garden's just constantly blooming from March through October.
It's beautiful. And even in the winter months, they'll have the home itself open so visitors can go and learn more about the family, take a tour, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're into history, be sure to visit the Royal BC Museum, which gives you a lot of the history of British Columbia, going way back to the woolly mammoth. It houses a First Peoples Gallery, which has exhibitions about the First Nations cultures before and after the arrival of the Europeans. And it's got a modern history gallery giving the sights, sounds, and smells of life when Victoria was first settled as a fur trading post in the 1800s.
Okay, I understand how they can give you the sights and sounds, but how can they have an exhibition that gives the smells of the first settling of Victoria? Maybe it's worth going just to see that.
I would say
or
so.
Smell that, I guess.
Especially with, it was a fur trading post, so you can imagine it was pretty smelly, I would
guess
think.
So.
Yes.
So now during the gold rush, half of Victoria's population was Chinese, and there's still a small Chinese community in Victoria's Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
And at the entrance to the neighborhood is a very ornate gate called the Gates of Harmonious Interest. And Victoria's Chinatown has an odd little claim to fame. It's home to the narrowest street in all of Canada.
Wow, it's a pretty narrow street then.
Yeah, and think about how big Canada is. So.
Yeah, and I was surprised to learn that the second oldest Chinatown in North America was actually in Victoria, and only the one in San Francisco is older.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising.
Yeah. One other thing that I really enjoyed when I was visiting Victoria was this bookstore called Monroe Books, which was originally owned by Jim Monroe and his first wife, Alice, who's the famous writer Alice Munro.
Yes.
And it's housed in an old bank building. It's just got this really majestic quality. It's got those vaulted ceilings, and it's just the perfect size for a bookstore. I think it's the nicest one that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, think about how beautiful old banks used to be. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes the perfect spot for a bookstore.
Absolutely. It's such a beautiful place.
Yeah. And that's going to wrap up our quick little tour of Victoria, British Columbia. And you can find more information about the coolest stuff on the planet on Facebook, Twitter.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere online.
And we'll have all those addresses for you at the end of the podcast, as well as more information on our blog.
And we'll see you next time on the coolest stuff on the planet.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free on iTunes.